Weekend with the Ricoh GR IV Monochrome edition. So this camera can only shoot black and white. And it all started at New York Moynihan train station, where I took the train up from New York all the way up to my friend's place in Vermont. And here I tested the first shots with the Ricoh GR IV Monochrome, and I honestly love the images. I don't know what about them, but they feel like editorial, journalistic images. Something about black and white just hits different. The beauty about the Ricoh GR IV, which to be quite honest I haven't used that often, is that this camera is truly pocketable. It's probably the tiniest camera I've used in the last couple of years. So the journey up to Vermont took about 6 hours, and by the end it was pouring rain.
It's a bigger fly, it's a harder fly, but it'll be really nice on the lake tomorrow to tie it up. It might be some cool shit, but I've never done one before, so if I'm up and it'll be like that. This is a half and half. It's basically, this is called a deceiver right here. It's one of my favorites. It's that and a cloud of minnow mixed, doing a fusion dance. Hey, this one's looking a little haggard.
So my buddy Eric recently got into fly fishing, and here he is tying his own flies. And honestly, here it makes for some really great photos just to document his journey. And he's tying all these in preparation for some fly fishing that we're doing the next day. And we headed to the local creek to see if he could get any catches. I'm not fishing this trip, I'm just simply taking photos. One thing I gotta mention is that the Ricoh GR4 and the GR4 Monochrome are not weatherproof, waterproof, or any of that sort, so you have to be a little bit careful. And I was pretty paranoid about getting any sort of moisture and, God forbid, dropping this camera into the river. I did buy some waders for this trip, so luckily I was able to get in the water and take some pretty cool shots of straight down the middle of the creek. And here's a macro shot, which I actually ended up being able to get pretty close to this.
I actually cleared everything where you're standing.
As you can tell, we changed locations. We ended up not catching any fish, so we headed out to Lake Champlain because it was frankly a beautiful day. The water is usually not this calm. And here in some of the images, I used the red filter, which darkened the blue skies and brought out the skin tones of people. So pretty cool that they replaced the ND filter with a red filter. One thing, if you notice right here, is that I keep thinking there's a viewfinder on this camera, so I push this camera up to my face all the time. And as you can tell, there were no fish to be found on this day either. So we ended up picking up Eric's fiance on the boat and headed down the river just to cruise and chill, with no expectations to catch any fish. And for the most part, I actually put the Ricoh away and I took my Sony camera out to try to do some bird photography. And this app is really cool. This is not sponsored. This is the Merlin Bird ID, which can detect birds via sound or photos.
Not good fishing. Wasn't it? We'll get him tomorrow.
What do you think?
I had a good time.
So no fish once again, but we ended up going to a really good bakery nearby and just chilling out at the park, eating some pastries. And I think the dogs back home sniffed them out once we got back. And Eric and I decided to actually wake up the next day at 6 a.m. to head out back to Lake Champlain, hoping for at least one catch. And we were greeted by an amazing sunrise. And once again, we did not catch any fish. So we decided to go back to the first creek. I left my Sony camera at home, and of course, he caught a fish.
The 21? She's good. Yeah, she's good.
It wasn't just one fish. It was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 catches. They were caught and released, but of course, when I didn't bring my Sony camera out to document any of this.
Alright, so this is the Ricoh GR IV Monochrome, and I've had this for about a weekend already. I'm a huge fan of the Leica Q2 Monochrome. That was one of the most favorite cameras that I've ever used. I took that to Alaska along with my Sony birding setup, and I love the photos I got from the Q2 Monochrome almost more than I got of the photos from my Sony. I got really excited when I found out the GR4 Monochrome existed. I have used the GR3 before in terms of rentals, but I haven't owned this series of cameras before, so take what I say with a grain of salt. I'm a complete noob. I did want to take this camera out for a weekend, and I thought it was an interesting opportunity since most people use this camera for street photography, and I use this just on a trip up to Vermont where my friend started fly fishing. The sensor on this is quite amazing, and I know there's a lot of people that could probably produce a similar image with a regular GR4 or GR3 and then make some tweaks to the image just to get a similar feel, but the light sensitivity on this thing is quite amazing. And obviously taking this out in broad daylight like now, and also taking it early morning, late evening, and the photos from this are amazing. One thing I do love is obviously the portability. The lens on this is quite amazing, and the red filter on this is really awesome for broad landscapes like this, and obviously just getting some of the pop out in the foliage. So love that. I love how easy it is to use. I don't have to really think twice about taking a photo. The snap focus on Ricoh cameras, I totally understand why people love this feature so much, and every camera honestly needs to have this. And that might kind of segue naturally into the cons that I didn't like. The default autofocus, which is the whole area autofocus, is not really the greatest, especially if you're locked in at a wide aperture like f2.8 or f4. It tends to front focus. Usually it will focus on like my hat or like the front of my arm or shirt. I don't know if everyone's had that, but that's the experience I've got. So I just adjusted snap focus, which is focusing anything after 2 meters or 2.5 meters. And then I just do that when I'm doing like landscape shots or shots from the boat or shots from the river. I'm sure I just need a couple more weeks with this camera and I'll get it down. I haven't been using any of the picture profiles built in, but they look fine. I'm just someone that prefers to install that in either Lightroom Mobile or Lightroom Classic and just apply my own image edits. One thing that's really weird is that when you connect this to USB, maybe someone can answer this question in the comments, is that I could not get my MacBook to detect the Ricoh. Like it'll say, do you want to attach this accessory via USB? And I would say yes, and then I don't see it in my disk as like a portable hard drive or anything. I didn't have a micro SD in here, maybe that's why. I only used internal storage, which is awesome. I had to go into Lightroom, and then Lightroom would recognize the Ricoh, and then I would have to import the photos from Lightroom into the folder that I wanted. It's actually not that bad since I'm just going to open up Lightroom anyways, but I find it really interesting that Ricoh just didn't let you just manually copy photos over. I like having the most manual controls when it comes to things, but maybe some people just don't care. Those are my thoughts for now. Maybe I'll think of more when I go further upstream. This candle is not waterproof. It's really nice not being the hustle and bustle of New York sometimes. Like, look at this. There's no one even here. This is awesome. There might be a couple of people wondering, like, is this a cheaper replacement for the Q2 Monochrome? And if you're someone that just likes shooting in black and white and you're fine, then I almost wonder if it's worth just shooting black and white film. And I'm only saying that because the Ricoh is still $2,200 new for purely monochrome. So if you're only shooting black and white, then sure. But if you're someone that just wants the luxury of this, like, just do what I do and rent it. Otherwise, I'm just shooting black and white film, and I'm happy with that. I don't own the Q2 Monochrome. I've just used it for trips. I would own that camera. I think for the handling, I believe the weather resistance, I might be wrong, I need to correct that. The megapixel counts, full frame, I love the lens on that. But it is not as pocketable as the Ricoh, I will admit that. So I guess if you're someone that uses the Ricoh already, and you have the money, and you just want to shoot black and white, sure. But again, black and white cameras, digital cameras, are a luxury. They're kind of like, well, I have the money for it, I can shoot it, I like black and white, so I'll do it. So I think that's my thought process.
So thank you so much for watching this video. It was only a couple days with the Ricoh GR IV Monochrome, but it was so much fun, and I can't wait to use this camera again in the near future. Thank you so much for watching. I'll upload more videos coming soon.